How we doing? How we doing? Looking good in OBS. And let me get the chat here. Damn, this mic keeps drifting. All right, let me pop out the chat here. Huh? There's two of these. Okay. Where's my notes? All right, there we go. Hello, hello. Microphone check. 1, 2. Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Chris Legaspi, and today is Friday, May 22nd, 2020. So thank you for joining me live, or if you're watching on replay today. Today's topic is what I call rapid skills. It's something that I practice in my own life is basically ways to improve your practice, to make your practice more efficient, and to basically make the most of your practice time so that you can improve as quickly as possible. Shorten your learning curve. In my line of work, or if you're watching me, you probably have the same taste. We're all into realistic art. Realistic art is quite difficult. It's quite difficult, and it takes a long time to get pretty good at it. But that doesn't mean that we can't make quantum leaps in what we do, and that's what I hope to share with you today in this today's episode. And I'm going to begin by talking about some ways that I think are general good practices to improve very, very quickly. And they apply to art. I think they apply to almost any field or any endeavor. And then talk about remote learning, which is related to the how to improve rapidly. And then if we have time, we're going to do a little demonstration and do some Q&A. So let's get started today. Thank you for joining me live. If you're watching me for the first time, or if you're on replay, comment below. Let me know where you are watching from. Where are you located, and what time is it for you? I am currently in Thailand. I'm an American currently living in Thailand. It's 11 p.m. for me. Okay, so let's talk about rapid skills. How do we become better artists? How do we shorten the learning curve? How do we get to a point where our art looks pretty good, looks professional? Ideally, that's one of the things that I was striving towards in the beginning of my career, and even now, is I started. My first dream was to break into animation and video games and write books and things, and eventually did that. And even now, more than 20 years as a professional, I still want to get more work, more consistent work, different kinds of work, different challenges. I want to constantly improve. So the learning never stops. The learning never stops, and that's kind of what makes art fun, and that's what makes even if you're a realist like me, or I'm sure you are if you're watching, I believe people who are into realism are, I jokingly call them masochists. Masochists are people who like pain because it's a long, painful journey in a lot of ways, thankless journey in a lot of ways. But when you get to a point where we have some semblance of control of your work, it does become quite rewarding. And reach a professional level and also be reliable, you can make quite a lot of money as a good realistic artist, at least in many fields. I particularly work in the entertainment field, currently movie poster advertising. So it is rewarding. It's painful but rewarding. So how do we get there? How do we get there, Chris? That's why we're all here. So in my mind, there's three things that helped me to improve quickly. I wish I had like my very first website I had a website when I was like in my 20s. Awful, but anyway, I wish I had some of my like high school work or the work that I did when I was still a young man compared to today, because in my life I felt that I went through a few quantum leaps where I've been drawing since I was a little kid. I think we all have, probably, if you're watching this. You two have been drawing. All kids draw, but I've been drawing since I was a little kid, and I never stopped drawing. And even at a young age, I knew that I wanted to pursue a career in the arts. But it wasn't until I did certain things that helped me to go from where I was to quickly make a big leap. And this happened a few times I call these quantum leaps. It's a term that comes from, it's a physics term, but many business people use it as people who describe how they can, improve quickly at any skill. And I think if you have the right ingredients, you can have quantum leaps. Now, one of the ways, well, first let's talk about 3 ways. I'm going to share 3 ways that I feel are the best way, the fastest way to get from where you are to where you want to be. And if you are, maybe your work is, you've been drawing for a while, but you want to get to a high professional level. How do you get there? Or maybe you just started, you transitioned to art late in life, and you want to, maybe do, you want to have like high quality, realistic looking portraits or something like that. So how do you get there, and how do you get there quick? The 3 ways that I've identified in my life that can help me get quantum leaps, help me grow quickly. The first is modeling success. The second is having mastermind groups. And the third is immersion. And now let me break these down. So modeling success, what does that mean? For me, that means having is spending time and learning from someone who's already where you want to be, someone who's an expert, who's very, very good, highly skilled, and ideally can also teach and explain what they do. And even better if they can spend time with you. So having a mentor is the, and I think we intuitively all know this. Having a mentor, a high level teacher, someone that you're close to, that can spend time with you and show you, exactly how they achieve their level of success or their skill. Having a mentor, and in the arts, this is proven throughout history. Every great artist that you read about in every history book you read about, has had the mentor apprentice, the master and apprentice relationship. One that pops into my mind is Peter Paul Rubens. Rubens, wildly, historically, very wealthy, successful, skilled, fine artist, generally considered one of the great masters. I just read his biography recently, and he apprenticed when he was six or seven, I believe. Also Rembrandt around the same time. Yeah, at the time they would take children. If children showed promise, they would take them to a master painter working in their town or in their city, and they would just drop the kid off. Basically, it's like, here you go, here's my talented kid. There's a process that you had to go through. But the master apprentice relationship is as old as art itself, and it's proven to work. And there's a reason why, it worked for them. And in modern times, it's kind of faded out because the world is kind of spread out. It's faded out. Lots of great artists teach, but this idea where you not only take a class, which is great too, and we're going to talk about that, but you kind of build a relationship deeper than just teacher student. It's more, a mentor is more of a relationship. Actually, it's not so much because there's a difference between a mentor and a teacher, and a teacher is great too. But a mentor is someone you also have a personal relationship with. That's the difference. Oh, excuse me. So having a mentor, the master apprentice, is by far the fastest way to get to where you want to be. Okay, second, mastermind group. What does that mean? Mastermind group is basically, in modern terms, it's your peer group. It's the people you have around you. Now, I think we all know that if you have other people around you who are also, ideally, they're better than you. Let's say you spend time with a group of 5 artists, and they're all better than you. They're all professionals. They're all working. They're all in galleries, whatever. Guess what? If you spend enough time with them, you're probably, they're going to pull you up. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean that would be ideal. But if you spend time with other, maybe at your level, slightly lower and above, there's advantages to the whole range. But the goal is to have a group that has similar values than you, has similar goals, who's aligned with what you want to do. And I think we all agree that if we have people around us who are supportive, we've all seen this in other areas of your life. If you have people around you who are supportive, you're naturally going to get better at whatever you want to do. And the same is true for art. So a mastermind group, a peer group, is probably the second best way to quickly improve your skills. And like I said, you want, the ideal is everyone's better than you. That would be great. But, and peer group where people are at your same level, that we all know that's great too. And there's also an advantage to having, let's say you're having around young artists or beginner artists. There's an advantage to that too, is because you actually learn by teaching. You can learn, you can absorb the material better by teaching those around you and passing on the knowledge. So it's, the important thing is having shared common values and goals. And number 3, the third way I found to improve quickly at anything is to immerse yourself fully. Immersion. What does that mean? That means obviously besides drawing every day, are you reading books about art? Are you watching videos? Do you subscribe to New Masters Academy? Are you constantly watching videos? Are you going to museums? Are you taking the time to look at beautiful art? Are you taking classes? Are you going to life drawing? Are you taking painting trips with other artists? Are you going out into nature and sketching landscapes on the weekends? Um, so immersion is basically how you fill the time between your practice time. I think is very important. For example, when if I become obsessed with learning something, I would do my daily drawing practice. And if I had a mentor in my area, I would go visit them, spend time with them, go draw with them, do life drawing, whatever. And then in between, I would uh, watch videos, biographies about artists, or read their books. I started reading books about successful artists just to keep your mind immersed and keep the energy going in your mind, and also to keep you what do you call that? Keep you focused. As artists, we tend to be left brain, and myself included, get easily distracted. So if you're constantly immersed in the world of art, and ideally in the kind of art that you want to be, you can imagine how much that will help improve your practice time. Imagine, let's say you get done drawing. Let's say you draw 3 hours a day, and then before you go to bed, you read a biography of John Singer Sargent for an hour. And then in the biography, you see some pictures, and you see like, John Sargent, when he was 9, he was drawing 12 hours a day. And then, when he's 25, he got his first commission by the super wealthy person in London. And then here he got commissioned by the president of the United States. And you know what I mean? You're like, oh my God, that'll get you fired up, and it'll get you in tune for the next day. So that's just an example of immersion. So how do we do these things, Chris? How do we do these things? Well, one way I've found to become close to an expert artist is obviously to take their class if they teach. I think we all have favorite artists, and hopefully some of them do teach. Maybe some of you have recently taken an art class with an artist you admire. Comment below if you've recently taken a class before, what's happening in the world now, or maybe you're in a class now and it got rescheduled or whatever. Comment below. I personally had I was planning to go to the U.S., to Los Angeles, to take a class with, this watercolor artist. See, it's late at night for me, so my brain's kind of shutting down. Oh, I forgot his name now. He's a young guy based in Hollywood, a watercolor painter. But yeah, I was planning to take his class. I've years. And I wanted to meet him in person. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going to fly to the U.S. anyway. Might as well book a class, but that got rescheduled. So that's just one example. And in-person class, what's beautiful thing about the class is, number one, you can build a relationship with the teacher. And then, ideally, if you guys can build a relationship, they can become a long-term mentor. That would be ideal. And it checks off number 2, mastermind group, because around you will be other people who have the same, they're just like you. They want to learn, similar taste, similar values, similar goals. They have the same goal as you. They want to learn, they want to get better. So that checks off mastermind group. And then spend time with the other artists, the artists you meet, you build a relationship with them, and you guys can build a relationship outside of class. Then you can, you know, start to immerse yourself. So that's why and I'm sure if you're watching, you know this. You always try take as many classes as possible. Now that leaves us that leaves us one with the current world situation. Now a lot of us, a lot of schools and classes have been canceled and rescheduled, and a lot of us watching, a lot of you watching at home, maybe you don't live in a major creative center of the world. Maybe not all of us can live in Los Angeles, New York City, Chicago, London, or Guangzhou, China. In China has a massive realistic art presence there, art community. We all can't live in these hubs. So what do we do? Well, obviously we have to go with remote learning. Remote learning, the idea would be online classes, but the not many teachers that you want to learn from or you want to model may be online. So that could be a problem. But that shouldn't stop you. If you have the means, and you have the internet, and there are, maybe, for example, Steve Houston, maybe you can't take a live class with Steve Houston where he can give you feedback, but, maybe someone who shares work like his realistic work, male figure, charcoal, beautiful paintings. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, but that teaches online. So remote learning. Now I think this is what I wanted to get into today, because I know most of us watching here don't live in major creative hubs like Los Angeles, New York, London, St. Petersburg, Russia, Guangzhou, China. You're gonna have to do remote learning. Find your mentors, find your peer group online or offline, ideally as well. What do you do? What can we do to learn remotely? So number one, online classes is good. Is good. Not all teachers teach online. Some do, but they don't teach live classes. For example, they may sell video products. I myself sell video products. New Masters Academy is a library of video lessons, self-study video lessons. So that's an option. Then I'm going to talk about how to make the most of that, because there's the way I do it, I think might be helpful. There's a way to take remote learning and online learning to its fullest potential, and that's something that we're going to talk about today, or as we go on in this series. And also, some artists, they teach, they may share some process images, so I'm going to talk about how to carefully examine an artist you admire, their work. That's what I have on my screen today. This is, I'm going to try to go through the work of Ben Oliver. He's an artist that I would consider him, I want him to be my mentor now. So I'm going to go through the process of remote learning in this video. And so there's ways to, and even if they don't, I'm going to teach you how to look at a great artist's work, even if they don't teach, even if they don't share demos or process, and how to examine their work with the of a student, how to examine their work and get the most from the work. And some artists may be dead, maybe your goal is to be a world-class alla prima portrait painter like John Sargent. He's passed away, so you're gonna have to break down his work. Maybe you want to be a stylized acrylic acrylic painter like a Wyeth or a Rockwell or a Leyendecker. You want to be traditional based painter like them, and unfortunately they passed away a while. So you're gonna have to learn how to really examine their work. Basically, how to kind of break down their work in an intelligent way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so that's the premise. The 3 ways to get good quickly, and there are many ways, but I just wanted to highlight these because I think these are the top 3. And of these 3, I think we all can agree that the master-apprentice relationship is the ideal. So that's the goal to strive through. And later in the other in my business podcast, my business stream, I'm going to talk about how to actually reach out to professionals, because that is an art in itself. And I have a lot of experience making relationships with professional artists, and yeah, it's a skill in and of itself to communicate and to build a relationship with someone you don't know, someone you don't know, someone you admire. There's an art to it, and most people do it terribly, unfortunately. So yeah. Well, anyway, sorry. We will talk about that, how to reach out to the artist you admire and build a relationship. But now, the most important thing in remote learning, in learning from someone you admire, breaking down their work, studying their work, is to first have a clear idea exactly where you are and what skills you want to learn. Have a clear idea exactly what you're looking for. For example, you can, let's say you want to draw heads really, really well. And you're like, you know what? I know I need to improve my heads. I'm going to study the best head drawing people I can find, and just like be a construction beast for the next 6 weeks or whatever, or maybe your goal is, my drawings are really stiff. I need to work on my gesture, my rhythms. Oh my God, my drawings look so stiff, so terrible. I need to focus on my gesture. Or maybe you're like, oh God, well, I could draw and I can do some shading, but my God, my color is terrible. What the heck do I do? I don't know where to start. So having a clear idea of what, not necessarily your weakness, but whatever you want to work on at the moment. So for example, me, I need to, the thing that I want to strengthen is I want a finishing process. I want to be able to do a movie poster finished. That's kind of the career goal I'm at now. I've been doing the composition drawings, the concept drawings, and those are all in black and white. But now I want to do the actual finished illustrated poster. So I need to develop a way that I could do that quickly, professionally and quickly. And I'm going to go start with the people that I admire and that are already doing what I want to do. That's why I have we're going to go through today with Ben Oliver. So that's just one example. Have a clear idea of what you want to do. Now, if you're asking me, well, Chris, I kind of don't know. I kind of don't know. I need to work on everything. Well, I would say of to reach a professional quality level and to get your work noticed and to get hired by these companies, to get freelance work. Of all, let's say, you have skill set, drawing, figure, composition, rendering, color, right? There's a lot of stuff that we all have to know. Of all these things, if I could choose two, going back to the Pareto principle, Pareto principle is called the 80-20 rule, meaning that of 10 things, 2 things you choose will have the most impact, will do 80% of the work, get you 80% of the results. Let's say of 10 skills, the 2 skills that that you need the most are drawing, fundamental drawing, and design. Fundamental drawing and design. That can mean a lot of things, but basically, you make clean lines, make clean shapes. Have pretty, have some mileage under your belt, so your marks look good and they're consistent. So you don't necessarily have to be a master technician, but as long as you have a nice grasp of mark making, shape making, tone making, in various drawing mediums if needed, that's drawing fundamentals. And the second is design. And I would argue that, let's say on a scale of 60, let's say on a scale of 100, you could make an argument that design would be 60%. So it's slightly even more important than drawing fun. And design is, in terms of, for sure, in illustration and commercial work, composition is a big part of that. But design could also mean, how do you arrange your shapes? How do you, like, for example, how do you know where to place Luke Skywalker? How do you know to place him where on this square canvas? That's design. How do you know how thick to make this collar shape? That's design. How do you know how thin or thick to make this line? How do you know where to make that bend? That's design. How do you know how to simplify that eye, simplify that brow? So all of that is design. And this is not just me telling you. I recently, I've shared this story before that I took a class. One of the artists that I wanted to model was Rob Ruppel. Rob Ruppel is he's just a world-class artist, but he's also extremely successful. He's been art director for many, many, many years on animation, and most famously for Naughty Dog, the video game company in Los Angeles. Uncharted, was probably their most famous property. And I wanted to meet him. I wanted to get to know him. So I took his class. I was fortunate enough to be in Los Angeles. I took his class. And we were sitting in class. There was probably like 30 people in the room. And Rob was sitting in the front. The lights were turned down, and he had his projector, and he's showing some of his gorgeous work. And he's a design king. He's a design expert. And somebody raised their hand. Oh, Rob. He's like, yeah. What's your question? He's like, oh, Rob. How can I get a job at Naughty Dog? And the audience laughed. How can I get a job at Naughty Dog? And you know what he said? Well, when I hire people, I look for 2 things. 1, design, drawing. 2, design. And the whole audience was like, so quiet. The audience was like eerily quiet. Because they're like, they're probably expecting, oh, I want a Photoshop wizard. Oh, I want a guy who can render textures on background paintings. Oh, I want a guy who can model a face and do beautiful hair. They're probably looking for A, B, C, D, right? Technique. But he's like, no, I want a guy who can draw and who can design. And I was like, I knew I was the only one in the audience that was like, yeah, I knew exactly what he was talking about, because at the time I had already been working. I had quit my games career to move to LA and become a painter. So that's just one example of how important design is. So anyway, that's answer the question, Chris. I don't know what when I do my studies, when I do my copies, when I take classes, I don't know what I should focus on. Focus on design. I would say focus on design. I think the drawing part, you kind of already know where you are. You already know, kind of what you need drawing. You know if your head drawing needs work. You know if your eyes are bad. You know if your figures proportions bad. You know if your anatomy's bad. You kind of know, but design takes time, because design is actually it's like a muscle. It's a mental shift that has to happen. It's a way of looking at the world. So focus on design. But anyway, that's broad topics, and all of those are important. But that was just my argument for if you not quite sure what to focus on. So let me take a quick break and pop in for some questions here. I'm going to pause for do a quick demo here, and then take questions at the end. So thank you for joining me live. There he is, Nick Runge. Justin Vargas says, I took water class with Nick Runge. The guy has some amazing skills. That's exactly who I wanted, yeah. So, yeah, hello and thank you, Justin. Wow, there's a lot of us here. Okay, there's a lot of questions here. Oh, Malone says, Glenn Vilpu is my teacher, mentor, and his wife are my close friends. Yeah, you want to build relationships. Well, yeah, thank you, Malone. So, okay, let's, thank you guys for joining me here. I'm going to go back to... Oh, and if you just joined us, I started by talking about the three ways that I think you can improve, and the top way is to get in to have a mentor, to have that master apprentice relationship, and the second best way, because a mentor is a personal relationship, but the next best way would be to take a class, and then make the most of what you learn. All right, so let's take a look at. Now we're going to talk about some remote learning. Now, well, let me pull up a Rubens. So one thing. Do I have any Rubens here? Oh, I do. So let's say a lot of people write to me, and thank you for your all your comments and your emails. They ask me, "Oh, Chris, I need my my drawings are stiff. I need help with my gesture, and I would always recommend to look at Rubens. So how do we look at Rubens? Well, first, this is actually not the best example. Do some research. Take some time to absorb the person's work and become familiar with their work. Rubens has a gigantic body of work. And then what I would look for is one that's pretty obvious. One that's obviously like, wow, that has some incredible movement. Here's one that's obvious. I think Steve Houston already broke this down in this one too, so I'm not going to pick that. Look at this one, all this swirling, beautiful movement. So that's an obvious one, Like if you wanted to learn gesture, probably this one's not the best, right? Probably not this one, Better, right? Better. Now, if your goal was to learn fabric, let's say your fabric looks stiff. You're like, you know what? My fabric looks very stiff, very terrible. Let me check out how Rubens handle fabric. This would be a great example of that. So you can learn multiple things from the same artist. Look at that. That's a nice one. Oh, this is gorgeous. Steve Houston. The two that I want to pick, Steve Houston already made a video about them. I think one's in his book. This one is in his book. Comment below if you have Steve Houston's book. Here's a nice one. Let's pick this one. So yeah, obviously you want to look at center line if you're studying gesture. You want to look at the contour. If you're more the Steve Houston side, and the illustrative side, you look at the contour, center line. You look at rhythms. Look at this rhythm from the head. This rhythm from the head to the bicep to the brachialis to the forearm and the wrist, the finger. In Jesus, you have the rhythm from, this is a low res one, the rib cage going across the chest, up and over to the shoulder, or through the bicep. So you see that? All wonderful examples of rhythm. So what I would do is I would do a careful tracing first. I would just take a moment to examine what you're looking at, to really carefully absorb at it. Don't rush to your copy. That would be the next stage. So take a moment to carefully examine what you're looking at. That's just one example. Let's see. What if you want to learn color? Rube he's a master, but I would argue for color, again, I would choose someone very obvious. Let's start with Asaro. Asaro is probably one of my favorite colorists and a draftsman. He's somebody I desperately want to be. He's like him and Steve are like my top two heroes of all time. Look at that exquisite color and draftsmanship. So pick one that will first take a minute to. Well, assembling a folder like this takes time too. So that could take you a few hours to. God, look at this. I wonder if that's a high res. And for color, well, color is so complex. I would choose, I wouldn't go like ballistic, something like that has just like multiple colors all in your face. I would take some baby steps. I would start with, okay, let's start with blue. How does a master colorist handle blue? So I would start with that little baby and go, okay, we got some blue here. Just carefully take a moment to look. Look at not only the blue in the shadow, but in the halftone. Okay, so he transitions there. That's nice, from blue to a warm red. Why did he do that? Why did he do that? Why is there red there? How does that affect the painting? What if you take that out? So really take the time to absorb what you're looking at. So that's just one way to look at color. Here's illustrator David Grove. He passed away. He's a very successful illustrator. And one of the things in my mind, he has beautiful simplified color. But one of the things that I admire about him is his plain definition. How it's obvious, but it's also subtle at the same time. So that's something that if I wanted to have that strong, plainer look, I would look to David Grove. And or if I wanted to have a look, that's another way that maybe you just want to match the look of something. You want to have, you want to be known as someone who could do that look. So that would be another way to study an artist. So always keep that in mind. Keep in mind what you you are looking for first. So let's go back to Mr. And where is he? Now, Ben Oliver, he doesn't teach online, I don't believe, but he posts a lot of process images. So, it's a careful, don't just, and this is something I've been meaning to do for a long time, actually. It's why I want to do it on camera, is I want to actually break down his work, his process. So this drawing, I did this drawing from from Luke Skywalker reference, but I tried to match his body, and I don't think it's the exact same reference, but I tried to come close to him. Even at the drawing, I'm paying attention to, okay, how does he handle the eyebrow? Because will that affect the final look, the final finish? Look at how he draws his shapes. Look at the lip. Why did he do this little line around the shadow? Why did he mask his hair this way? So all of these things I'm paying attention to. I'm not just blindly drawing. And I'm also looking, well, his value is different than mine. So either he turned down the opacity, or he doesn't use pure black. So that's something that I got to keep in mind. There is a disadvantage to using pure black. And if you draw long enough, you can see um, the pencil marks. Whether it's you can pretty much gauge what kind of pencil they were using. So I know he does this. I'm going to try to match his brush. Three value system. You guys see that? It's not quite the brush he used, but it's close enough. Some kind of texture brush. Paintbrush looking brush. He went outside the lines there. I don't think there's a particular reason for that. It's just a way that... See, look, I know that this his body's too bright. It's not dark enough. Okay, so a little bit closer to his value structure, and then he pops in the brightest bright. So what he's doing here, I just know from experience what he's doing. He's putting in the brightest bright and the darkest dark at the beginning. And I'm looking at the way he makes his mark. Like, okay, Just being a little bit more careful. I think the eyes are not bright enough, and the shape is slightly different, but that's okay. I had a different reference than he did, but the lighting is, I think, very similar. Okay. There's also a bit of unevenness in his face. Oh yeah, I have that too. There's a bit of unevenness here because I know he does a lot of. He's more of a traditional artist. He just does these Photoshop renderings. And I know that because he has. Oh, do I have it here? Here it is. Yeah, it's basically this step, but in just black and white and in Photoshop. Just putting down a wash of tone. I believe that's acrylic. I was using the same process he uses in acrylic, which is similar to what I do. I just use the same process in the computer that I would paint an oil or a watercolor. Well, not so much watercolor, but an oil. So, I guess the point is that don't just blindly, if you can't, if you have to study an artist's work, don't just blindly copy. First, get to know yourself. Get to know what it is that you particularly need to improve at that time. And then once you find an artist who has what you're looking for, take some time to appreciate their work and get comfortable with it, get familiar with it, really examine it, and then choose something that is obviously has what you're looking for. If you're looking for gesture, choose a bunch of beautiful figures, dynamic figures. If you're looking for head drawing, specifically choose pieces that have really strong, clear heads. And that way, that'll just make your practice more efficient. And then try to be as true as possible and think, what this person, start to think about what they're thinking about and why they made those decisions. Kind of always ask yourself why they made those decisions. That way you can get the most out of your time. All right. So that's all we have for today. I'm going to break for questions here. I don't think I'll be able to finish this today. What was next? Let's see what's next. Just to examine what would be next. So he muddies it up. He muddies it up with tones. That's what I see. He's just kind of like. And I know exactly what brush he used now. Photoshop brush. And for some reason, well, I know why, but look at the contrast he's putting. So he's muddying it up and then putting contrast in the main eye. Basically, he knows that he's setting up the focal point eye right away and adding just variation in tone, really, and a little bit of texture. So that's would be next. All right, so I'm gonna take a look at the comments here. Thank you guys for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Let's see where I have something nice on the screen. I bet you I'm going to get some new tech for these streams. We can have a nice video playing in the background or something. Okay. Blah, blah. Hello. Walter's hello. And Dutch is here. Hello, Dutch. Esmeralda here. Mr. Chin, hello. And yeah, my Merge After Dark sounds okay. Thank you. Josua from Honduras. Hello, Casey. Hello, McCain from Hong Kong. Oh yeah, midnight in Hong Kong. Hello from London, Wisconsin. Casey. Ramon, hi Chris. I took your class before NMS and Art Mentor Workshop now 905. Is that right? Art Mentor Workshop. Oh yeah, online class. Oh, thank you, Mr. JS. Or Miss JS, thank you. Casey, give us all the skills. Yeah. Well, not me. I mean, you gotta go up the chain. After Dark says, hope you'll be uploading this later. Yes, these all be archived. Ramon, nominate you. Thank you. Ruben had drawn his self-portrait when he was 14. Yeah, Ruben was a prodigy. So was Sargent. Pretty much every realist artist in the books, they're all kind of, they had talent when they were young and their parents recognized it and they stuck them in apprenticeships. That's why that's why apprenticeships is number one on this list. Let me highlight that. Master apprentice relationship. That is by far the quickest way to Z, from A to Z. Chris, can you recommend some artist biography? I have recently read American Mirror, Rockwell. Oh, I like McCain asks, can you recommend some biographies? I like the guys who made lots of money. So Rubens was very, very wealthy. So I'm starting with him now. I think next I'm going to read Titian. Titian was also very, very wealthy. Renaissance, late Renaissance Titian. Oh, Bruce Lee. Yeah, Bruce Lee. I read his book. He's very good. Casey says, Carcamo. Don't know who that is. I was studying at the Art Academy London, but the lockdown made it shut down. Oh, man. Yeah, London is a lot of great artists came from London. A lot of great realism in there right now. I was taking life drawing classes in San Francisco, but it got canceled. Damn. So now I'm doing coaching with Ilya at NMA. Yeah, that's great. See, that's immersion. This Russian academic drawing lesson is it's a bunch of hours, and having Ilya as your coach is great. And being online here is great. That's immersion too. You're probably drawing while you're listening to me. So thank you, Eden. I've taken class with Professor Art. He's actually the one who recommended me to watch your live video. Oh, hello, Ted. I'm assuming you mean Art in Thailand. Oh, welcome, Ted. Yeah, thank you. Justin says, watercolor class with Nick Runge. Yeah, that's who I was going to fly to the U.S. to study with. I want to meet him in person. I messaged him briefly by email. Malone says, my art has received awards, including from New York Society. Oh, great. I've taught art for 16 years. I want to do freelance full time. How has self-marketing changed the last 16 years? Obviously, online is a big one, but yeah, I did the self-marketing. That was more in yesterday's class. Was it yesterday? the business stream number 2, we talked about self-promotion, but basically I advocate for a combination of online and offline, and heavily offline, I would say. Yep. Esmeralda, yeah. Esmeralda teaches at Concept Academy. Merge the Dark. Florence is a hub. Yeah, I totally forgot about Florence. Yeah, I can't believe it slipped my mind. Feedback is helpful. Yes. Yeah, that's another reason why you want the fastest way. God, if my brain is falling asleep here at night. The reason why having an in-person mentor is so helpful is because you get live feedback. You get the feedback right away. Feedback is essential. For me, when I was learning life drawing, figure drawing, I moved to LA. I would go to life drawing workshops. And the best artist that I met when I started was Sergio Sanchez. He's a freaking master tattoo artist now, but a student of Mark Westermo, Sergio Sanchez. Comment below if you know his work. He was running life drawing workshops in Pasadena. So what did I do? I go sit behind him. I sit right behind him. I basically, as close to him as make him as not as uncomfortable. I sat right behind him, basically looking over his shoulder the whole time. So I'm there 3, 4, 5 hours looking over his shoulder while I'm drawing, looking over his shoulder while I'm drawing. And when he comes walk around, I ask him a question. Hey, can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? I want that live feedback. So that's super important. Super important, it's the feedback. Yeah, thank you for that comment. Jawad says, are you going to sell the recorded lecture at a premium movie poster you had on Gumroad? Also, Mario Robinson has an 8-hour tutorial watercolor at Paint Tube. Wow, $70. I don't know what that is, but I have to look him up before I forget. Mario Robinson. Are you going to sell the premium self-study version? I think so, yes. I had thought of it. Jawad has oh, okay, yeah. He's not quite Locky style, but he's very, very good. My God. So thank you for that, Jawad. Alejandro Reese, and $70 is a bargain. Alejandro Reese says, I'm 52. I want to become a freelance artist. You know some artists that started this late in life, and do you have some advice for late in the game? I don't know anyone who started late, but Steve Houston used to always tell me and tell the group that he used to say, "Oh, don't worry about how old you are. You're gonna do your best work when your best work will come later in life." Because I believe at the time he was 50, in his 50s. I mean, he's already Steve Houston, but he said something like, you'll probably do your best work when you're 75. So don't worry about how old you are. That's number one. Number two is, how do you have some advice for people late in the game? Well, you need a quantum leap, and that's what I mentioned in the beginning. Quantum leap is kind of the point of this podcast, is how to get quickly fast. Is you need a quantum leap, how to go boom like that. And the number one way is to find a mentor. So get in a master apprentice relationship in any way possible, whether that's in person, whether that's taking a class in person, whether it's online class, whether that's studying their work remotely, whatever it takes. So that's what I would do. And then step 2 would be to find a mastermind group, find other people around you who are better than you, or who have the same values and goals. Christian says, you can practice as an artist whenever you like. Don't let anyone tell you you can't, without writing a novel and giving you the most generic advice possible. You do you. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, artists, that's the beautiful thing about it. Casey says he do the Red Dead 2 cover. I'm not sure. I think you're talking about David Grove. I'm not sure. Malone says Glenn Vilpu is my teacher. Yeah, Malone. Thank you, Malone. Design is shape design. Yeah, shape design, value design, placement. But shape design is a big part of it. I think that's a big umbrella that fits everything, because shape design implies placement, because shape design, if you design a shape, you also design the negative space around the shape. So yeah, shape design is a big part of it, probably 80% of it. Hi, so fastest way is, yeah, find a mentor. Get in a master-apprentice relationship somehow. Taking your head drawing class into a master's, Ramon. Oh, thank you. Alejandro says, I practice every day. Most channels talk about starting at 20, 30. I want to know if there's something more extreme cases like should pay attention to. Alejandro's 50. Yeah, find a master or apprentice at all costs. Find people around you at all. That's because you're going to need a quantum leap. Even me, right now I started painting very late. I started oil painting in my 30s, and I took a huge break. I took huge chunks of time off, so I need a quantum leap in oil painting. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am going to find the best oil painter that will spend time with me, and I'm going to latch on him when the time comes. I'm going to latch on him. Casey says, Jeff Watts has some really great advice on how to approach training in art with patience and dedication. I believe some of these are Watts. Yeah, I know Jeff. I met him a long time ago. He has a lot of content on YouTube. Daniel says, Houston is terrific, a little too heavy on theory. Yeah, Houston is very philosophical. I think part of the reason why I started teaching online and started making YouTube videos is because I wanted to understand Steve Houston for myself. So my very first videos, figure drawing videos, was me trying to distill his philosophy in a way that made sense to me, and a lot of people liked my videos, I guess. Same with my book. My book is mostly Steve, has a lot of, Riley method, illustrative drawing, but it's mostly Steve. So it's my way of trying to distill his knowledge into a way that's easy to understand. Christian says, I wish I could say the same myself, but I do try everything I try to find. I'm not try certain. Sorry, however. Okay, baby so shiny, yes. Christian says the person whoa, there's a lot of comments here. The person to be most vigilant against is not always someone else, but your own doubts. Yeah, that's a great comment. Yeah. So a lot of artists hold themselves back. We'll talk about that in a future business podcast. Bob McGinnis, legend. Life experience. Sorry I have to leave. Okay, yeah, we'll replay. Thank you for joining us. Alejandro says, some of my choices are informed by my own life. Whatever. The biggest obstacle. I am the biggest obstacle. I was the villain all along. Yeah. That's another reason why a peer group, because if, the mentor, besides giving you feedback, will give you accountability, right? If, let's say, for example, that your goal is to become a successful movie poster artist, and you build a relationship with Drew Struzan, right? And Drew Struzan says, all right, Mr. Young Artist, Mr. Wannabe Artist, I want you to do 10 black and white comps with Prismacolor on toned paper, and I want them done in 3 days. Are you going to waste your time? Fuck no. Not if you want to keep that relationship. So having someone that you admire who gives will help keep you accountable, and also a peer group. Having a good mastermind group or a peer group will keep you accountable too. Let's say you have a group of 5 friends, and maybe, two of them, they're good artists, but they're not that committed, right? But 1 or 2 of your 5 friends, man, they are super focused, super driven, super committed. And let's say you meet up once a week and you show up with 5 sketchbook pages, but your 1 or 2 friends in your group, they show up with 50. You're going to be like, fuck, what the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? You're going to show up next week. You're going to bring your A game. So accountability is a great way to stop limiting yourself. That self-imposed, accountability is great. So that's, again, going back to why having a mentor is important and why having a peer group is important. Sorasit, Surapach. Hello, sound Thai. Are you Thai, Mr. or Miss Sorasit? What are your favorite courses on New Masters? Oh, I'm looking at Mark's right now, but I think if I could only watch one, it would be John Asaro. I worship the ground that man walks on. He's my hero. Him and Steve are like my 2 heroes in life. If I could trade places with any artist, it would be John Asaro, I think. And what I like about Asaro is because it has painting in it, but the first chapter of John Asaro painting video in New Masters Library is about drawing. And it's fucking good. It's very philosophical, but it's good. Andrew King says, great art collection on your folders. Any particular reason why you store it on Dropbox? Are you sharing it? No, I'm not sharing it, but I will if you, I can. I use Dropbox. No, it's just convenient. I like Dropbox. No particular reason. I don't like to keep stuff on my hard drive. Will you make more videos like this? Hello, Crush B. Yes. Oh, yeah, I'll be streaming regularly. I won't be streaming at this time after today. That was my last one. Abid says, the best way to go from forms to anatomy, how do we practice or study anatomy? And that's a great question. I copy books. I copy figures. So Abid asks, how do you practice anatomy? If you want to quantum leap in anatomy, how do you get good fast? I would go to a live cadaver. I know that sounds crazy. If you can get a live cadaver. If you can't, get a replica of bones or a replica of a cadaver. Get the live thing and touch it with your hands. I learned anatomy partly from copying books, but I also touched the bones, full-scale replicas, and I would hold it and touch it and then draw it. Hold the skull, touch it, and then draw it. Hold the rib cage, touch it, then draw it. Hold it, feel it, get to know it, and massage my girlfriend. When I would look at an anatomy book and I would massage, I know it sounds crazy, but I would massage my girlfriend. So hold it. In history, learned anatomy. And that's why the great anatomy teachers, Andrew Kars, Ray Bustos, they don't teach workshops by drawing flat. They teach anatomy by sculpture. So find some way to hold anatomy in your hand. Louis says, hi, Chris. I use line but want to use tone. Do I just practice it more? I feel like there's more complexity with tone. Just working with tone is any way I could learn about it more. Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I would study, and I had this exact question, Luis. I would study Chinese realist. Specifically, the one that pops to mind, my favorite is Zhao Wu, Chinese academic realist. Luis asked a great question. I want to use line, but I want to get better with tone. And my favorite, and I think he means by mark, flat tonal marks. I really love Chinese realist, and Zhao Wu is on the top of my list. Zhao Wu. And I had that exact question, and I took a class with him. I was fortunate enough to live in the Bay Area at the time, and I took a class with Zhao Wu, so I got to know him in person, and I still have a relationship to this day. Walter says, is it okay if all if all you draw like to draw portraits, how can you break this type of habit? No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think it's good to mix it up. For example, if you like to draw portraits, for sure, drawing the figure anatomy will help your portraits. If you like to draw portraits, for sure, drawing still lives, fruit still lives, cups, those kind of things will help draw. And for sure, if you like to draw portraits, doing landscape paintings, absolutely, landscape painting will absolutely help your portrait drawing. Absolutely. But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the one artist that comes to mind is Sean Sheatham. Sean Sheatham does 90% from what he posts. He does other, he can do whatever he wants, but he's mostly known for his alla prima portraits. And he's built a fantastic career from alla prima portraits. There's nothing wrong with specializing in portraits. Casey says, Sergio Sanchez, I took a class with him. Man, you are a lucky man. I'm assuming you live in Los Angeles. God, Sergio is a fucking legend. Life drawing is critical. I can't recommend it enough, says Christian Stout. Doing particular studies of various parts of the body and anatomy book is always helpful. Yeah, you got to do it all. That's the realist game. Air says, but then what happens when you don't live in a country where there is no art industry like in the U.S.? Yeah, we just talked about that. Air asked the question, what do you do if you can't take a class with someone? You don't live in a major creative hub like LA, New York, London, Florence, Guangzhou, China. Well, you have to do remote learning, and that's why I would suggest take online class. If they don't have online class, then really dive deep into their work. Many artists who don't teach online, they share their work, and the ones that are dead, find their process images. That's what I did. I built up this folder of Dropbox. And I don't just glance at their Instagram. I take time and to really examine their work, and I do copies. That's what I'm doing here. I'm doing a copy of Ben Oliver. So that's what I mean by remote learning. So yeah, watch the replay there. Excuse me. I covered that in the second half. Sora Pot, don't understand your question, Walter. Christian says you have the internet. Casey says Sergio's best advice: draw that shape. No, draw that shape. Yeah, Sergio is a savage, great teacher too. Sora said, excellent. Thank God for that. Sergio's quick sketch is inspiring. Yes. Yeah, but Sergio's, I believe his strength is his rendering. No, excuse me. Kishan says, hey Chris, can you stick around for the whole stream? Will this be uploaded to YouTube? Yes. Patreon? No. YouTube for free. Alejandro says, then I will be example I seek. Yes. Source, it's okay when you push your skills in one direction. Oh yeah, and I think you should. You should push your skills in one direction. Source, it said, good design go a long way. Are you still studying with Steve Houston? No. No, I'm more into the illustrative side now, so I've been focused on illustrative look, which is, more graphic-y, more flat, more 2D based. And I haven't been painting. When I go back to oil painting, then I will go back to Steve. But I've obsessively studied Steve's work for so long. I feel like I kind of got a grasp of the core of his message, and the core of Steve's message really is develop your own style. I know at least that's how I interpret it, because lots of people copy him when you first exposed to his work. Sorasat says, yes, I am Thai. Oh, Spotty Cup, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. It's a little late. I'll start doing these streams in the daytime for the people in the GMT time. This will be my last stream at this time. I'm gonna go back to 12 hours earlier. Jawad says, check out Joshua LaRock. Oil painting is 16 hours long, and he's alum of Grand Central. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Jawad knows all the good names. I'll definitely be a Quantum Leap, Chris. He has 2-hour preview on YouTube. And Jawad always knows the good names. Let's see. Who is this? Joshua LaRock. Yeah, Grand Central is one of the places that I want to go. I want to meet the founder of Grand Central Academy, Jacob Collins. He's one of the best. Oh, God, fantastic work. Let's look at his work. Yeah, he's fantastic. In my mind, when I look at these realists, he's excellent, without a doubt. When I look at these modern crop of realists, I want to go up. So when I look at him, I go, okay, well, he's excellent, no doubt, but Jacob Collins is still alive. So I'm going to go straight to Jacob Collins. That's the way I look. I always go up the chain. Always go up the chain. Yeah, in fact, I would try to dissect Jacob Collins. I would try to find Jacob Collins because I believe if this guy graduated from Grand Central, he's a protege of Jacob Collins. Source is on Streamline Arts. I'm going to message my cat and then massage my cat. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Animal anatomy. There's a reason why. I think Casey's said, I'm going to massage my cat and then draw lions. There's a reason why animation studios bring animals in the damn studio and they want you to pet them. Animation studios, they'll actually go to the zoo and they'll get pettings. There's a reason why they want you to touch the animal because this, if you're talking about anatomy, this is also a tool, the tactile. If you want to get good anatomy fast, believe me, you will get fast when you also touch the thing. Touch the thing, sculpt the thing, touch the cadaver, touch the bone. That's how you get a quantum leap in anatomy. Hi, Chris. Last comment. Jawad says, what's the ETA on figure 4 modeling stream? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. Figure 4 modeling. I don't know. I have to. I'm going to teach a live class soon, a premium class. So if enough people want form rendering, I will do that. So comment below if you want an in-depth, like a proper 4-week class with lecture and critiques, that kind of thing. Kushba, how to develop your own style? That's a great question. That's and there's so many great answers to that. Don't really cover it today. This topic was more about how to learn quickly, but I personally develop my style by modeling someone I admire. I just copy the hell out of someone I admire until I kind of get it, and then I slowly integrate my own ideas into it. That's one way. It's kind of like martial arts, right? Let's say you want to be a good martial artist. Let's say you want to learn jujitsu, or let's say you want to learn stand-up fighting, punching, kicking. It's probably good to learn one thing at a time, one version at a time. So learn Muay Thai kickboxing first. Do that for a couple years, and then learn Taekwondo or Karate, and then integrate your Muay Thai into your Karate. So that's one way to develop style. What is your view on social media on Instagram? Do you think it can get you motivated? How depressed you get so much great? That's an interesting question. Andre says, what is your view on social media? Do you think it can get you motivated or depressed? So that's an interesting question, and I think your answer is in your question. Andre asks, what is your view on social media? There's so much great artwork on there. Does it get you motivated or depressed? And I think the answer is in your question, because depressed doesn't even cross my mind. So that is something that's a that's revealing. I think your own answer is in your question. If social media depresses you, then that says something about how you view work. When I look at other, but first of all, I try to limit social media. I think whether it motivates you or depresses you, I think social media is an incredible distraction. It's an incredible distraction because it's, and I'm guilty of it. I have it on my phone. My God, when Instagram first came out, when I started using Instagram, God, I was on there hours every day, just wasting time on it. It's an incredible, in my mind, it's way too. Facebook is an incredible distraction. I'm slowly getting off Facebook. I to be honest, I want to get off Facebook completely and Instagram too, and I just want to start making stuff on YouTube and doing my own work. It's an incredible distraction, really. But yeah, it's a great tool, but it can be detrimental. And I think if looking at great art depresses you, yeah, that's tough. Don't look at it like that. I think you're coming from the mindset that it's competition or they're better than me, or I'm not good enough. And that's not a healthy mindset. I would say it's better to think of the end goal as, well, you know what? Maybe I can't be as good as Joshua LaRock or Jacob Collins or Bouguereau, but I could be the best me. We all have we're all into this world with a unique thing, a unique gift, a unique set of skills, a unique set of tools, a unique taste. We're all born with a unique thing. That's your goal. This is what will make you great. This will make you the best, is whatever it is. So your job is to discover that and make the best, cultivate that. Don't worry about what Joshua LaRock or Jacob Collins or whoever you like. Don't worry about what they're doing. Just take from them, like, okay, yeah, he draws faces and eyes well. I'm going to take that. He draws highlights well. This person does color well. Just take that and integrate that into your mission. Your mission is to be you. You is what will make you great. Cultivating you is what will make you great. Not if you will have perfect edges like Bouguereau and perfect form like a Jerome, or have perfect gesture like Rubens. That those are, in a lot of ways, don't look at it as you're competing. Look at it as look at them as we're not competing. We're all helping each other. I guess that's a short answer. That's a long answer to a short question. No accomplishment, no Instagram. This is the last. Jacob only directs the atelier. He doesn't teach. However, CJ offers online classes now. Yeah. Yeah. I've looked into Jacob Collins, and he doesn't teach, but he might. He might, if you know what I'm saying. That's why I won't. If I were to pursue someone like Jacob Collins, I wouldn't pursue them as, hey, will you teach me online? I would say, hey, I would build a relationship. So that's in my mind, that's the best way to approach a successful person, is to not say, hey, will you teach me? Is to build the relationship first. Casey says, only look at social media after you feel like you accomplished something. Yeah, that's a good advice. No accomplishment, no Instagram. Yep, good advice. Is contemporary art taking over realism, since realism started long back, is going to fade away? By contemporary art, you mean I'm not sure what you mean. But there's realistic artists who do contemporary stuff, abstracty stuff. So is realism coming back? I don't know. Some people would say, yeah. I don't know. You need enough people with taste to like realism. So that's if enough artists love it to pursue it, that's good. But art is a two-way street. You need the art and the viewer. So if enough viewers have enough taste to appreciate, because really, there was an artist named John Scott Burdick. He made a video called something of banishment of beauty or something. He's talking about how modern art, how difference between modern. It's an essay on modern art and realistic art. And he said people like modern art because I'm going to paraphrase, but people don't have taste. Back, in Rembrandt's time, back in Rubens' time, the mass of the people were very, very different from the mass of the world now. Most people were born looking at ugly. Were taught wrongly, in my mind, to appreciate ugly, to appreciate modern the ugliness. They weren't taught to appreciate beauty, beautiful music, beautiful art. They weren't taught taste. Their parents didn't have taste. My parents weren't art experts. I would say the greatest taste. They wouldn't know great art from bad art. So I had to learn taste. But anyway, what I'm saying is that if there's enough people in the world who cultivate taste, who learn taste, who raise children, appreciate beauty again, then realism will come back. Because realism really is. It's just beauty. In my mind, it's the most, and I think most people would agree, it's the most beautiful art in the world. It's the most beautiful art in the world. The people who do realistic art, we love, in our core, we see beautiful in the world, and we want to express the beauty that we see in the world. So when enough people also share our appreciation for beauty, when they can see beauty in the world, then we will make a comeback. Realistic art is about beauty in my mind. It's about it's the love affair and appreciation of the beauty in the world. Danielle says, "Don't leave Insta. It augments your YouTube page." Oh yeah, on the business side, I can't leave Instagram. No way. That's the only reason why I'm on freaking Instagram. That's the only reason why I bother with Facebook now is for business. Yeah, I got to promote myself. Andre says, "Great answer." Oh yeah, thank you, Andre. Kushba says, "New media art." Kushba says, "I do realism and I love the beauty." Yeah, thank you. And I really appreciate your comment. Just looking at, and thank you, Jawad, for this reference, Joshua LaRock. Just looking at this guy's portfolio, I'm just like, I can see how he looks at the world. These are some of the most beautiful paintings I've probably seen all day. Beauty is the only word I could describe them. They are so beautiful. And when I look at them, I feel better. I've been staring at this Joshua LaRock's portfolio for like 10 minutes. I feel better. I feel better about myself. I feel better about the world. I'm being moved. And that's what we want. That's what we want. That's so beautiful. God damn. I think realistic painting is important because realistic has been altered by photography. Only painting can capture the beauty that the eye can see. And I would add to your statement, only the painter can capture the beauty. It's not the paint. The painting doesn't exist without the painter making the interpretation. It's us that translates the world. It's our image of beauty that we translate. That is what the viewer sees. So that's the big difference between us and the photograph. Although the photographer can transfer his image of beauty, the painter, that's our job. That's the painter's role, is to transfer our picture. Justin says, "I wouldn't have found you on Instagram." Yeah, thank you, Justin. I have to stay on there for business reasons. All right, I'm going to cut out here. Wow, I really appreciate you guys staying, watching live. Sorry for all the technical bumps and the audio bumps. I have ordered I ordered a 5K video card 4 weeks ago because of the crisis. Stuff is it's hasn't got here yet, and I ordered 4 weeks ago. I ordered actually 6 weeks ago now. I ordered an upgrade to my internet, but there's restrictions on my building, so no internet. Sorry. So I apologize for that. But I will improve the quality here. Don't worry. I am aware of the technical bumps. And if you like my work, if you're watching for the first time and you're still here, make sure to subscribe to my email list, drawwithchris.com/subscribe, where I do most of my communication by email. Yeah, and leave a like. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. I do most of my communication by email. So this will be my last stream at this time. Unfortunately, it's taking quite a bit of. It's a bit difficult for me to stay up this late. It's eating away into my daily routine, my life schedule a little too much. So I'm going to change back to a different time, probably in the afternoon. But they'll still be archived. So my next stream schedule, I will send by email. So make sure to subscribe to my email if you're not already. And yeah, thank you guys. Forgive me if I missed your question. Definitely, once you subscribe to my email list, you can reply and you can communicate by email. Eden says, look all the beautiful things after spending time with that. Yes. Great discussion. Oh, thank you, Nathaniel. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And thank you, Kush. I really appreciate you guys. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next stream. Until next time, take care.